Hey guys, as I said in my Rings of Power finale breakdown, I'm gonna do a rewatch of Season 1 for what I'm sure will be a very lengthy review of what I felt worked and what didn't in Season 1. I've been a bit busy with other things, so I'm just about to begin my rewatch. But these past couple weeks, I've been surprised by how many folks have determined the stranger is 100% confirmed to be Gandalf. And while I do believe there's a very good chance he could turn out to be Gandalf, I don't think it's a done deal. So today I wanted to go over why I think there's still hope that the stranger is indeed a blue wizard. First off, the most obvious reason to believe the stranger is a blue wizard is the fact he's here in the Second Age. Now obviously there's no guarantee that the show will adhere to Tolkien's lore here, but as we know in Tolkien's later writings, he said the blue wizards arrived in 1600 of the Second Age. This would fit just fine within the condensed timeline of the show. And while we have reason to think otherwise, the showrunners did claim they weren't bringing Third Age stories into their Second Age show. And bringing Gandalf into the Second Age would be bringing in arguably the most popular character of the Third Age. That being said, Gandalf is arguably the most popular character of the Third Age, meaning he is incredibly recognizable to even casual fans. Being realistic, I can see from a marketing perspective that having Gandalf would pique the interest of casual fans, despite the annoyance it would cause for many diehards. But let's pause on the external reasons regarding the stranger's identity and look what the show has set up in world. Now that we've seen the entirety of Season 1, we know that from the very beginning, the stranger is looking for a constellation that is visible in Rhûn. As Aragorn says during the Council of Elrond, I have crossed many mountains and many rivers, and trodden many plains, even into the far countries of Rhûn and Harad, where the stars are strange. Now this to me screams blue wizard. While he doesn't say what his particular mission is, we know he must go to Rhûn, the very lands we are told the blue wizards travel to. Another thing that I think many folks have missed is something the mystics say when they realize the stranger is not Sauron. They refer to him as the Other and the Istar. The latter reveals he is indeed a wizard, but I think the former may indicate him being more than simply not Sauron. What if the Other instead means this is not the first Istar the mystics have encountered? In the books, we are told that only Círdan, Elrond, and Galadriel ever knew the truth about the Istari being Maiar. So it's entirely possible these mystics know only that he is another of the Istari, not that he is another being on par with Sauron. More on this in a bit. Another big question the show raises throughout is whether the stranger is good or dangerous. In the end, it's determined he is both. This is one aspect I'm curious to see how it plays out on rewatch, but the question of whether he is good or bad is one felt throughout the season. If he is Gandalf, that becomes a superfluous question. He's good and he'll go on adventures to help save the world, yada yada yada. However, I think a far more interesting possibility is him being a blue wizard because we don't know for certain which direction he'll ultimately go. In Tolkien's earlier writings, the blue wizards are named Alatar and Palando, and we are told they ultimately fail in their mission and likely began secret cults and magic traditions. In his later writings, in which they appear in the Second Age, they are quite successful in the East and South. Here their names are Morinitar and Romestamo, Darkness Slayer and East Helper, which I must say are pretty great names. This ambiguity of whether the blue wizards were good or evil, whether they succeeded like Gandalf or fell like Saruman, gives the show some great flexibility for the journey on which they take this character. Presuming we would get to meet the second blue wizard, a natural question stemming from Tolkien's own writings would be, will these wizards succeed or fail? Will they stay true or fall? Or perhaps even more interesting, will one blue wizard remain true while the other turns to evil, simultaneously taking inspiration from both versions of Tolkien's story? It makes me wonder, if one blue wizard has already made his way to Rhûn and possibly encountered the mystics, what could he already be doing? Could he be the one who turns to darkness? Indeed, could he even have been the one who sent the mystics? Thus far, the biggest evidence for this being Gandalf are some visual similarities, his affinity for halflings, some manipulation of fire, and his line of "always follow your nose." While I, like many others, initially thought the "always follow your nose" was the final proof of his identity, I've thought about this more, and I think this could just as easily be another in a long line of connections to Peter Jackson's films. We got a lot of Peter Jackson references and nods in this show, far more than I ever thought there would be. And honestly, I thought they were a bit too much and actually undermined the show at times. That being said, I think there's a decent chance that this is simply just another one of those nods. This show has certainly enjoyed having its mysteries, much to the frustration of some folks like myself. Even now, the people behind the show are insisting that the stranger's identity hasn't been proven. And at this point, having him be Gandalf would be pretty anticlimactic, as it's what the majority of people are expecting. If he does turn out to be Gandalf, I wouldn't be surprised if there's at least one more twist in an attempt to draw out the mystery before a final Gandalf reveal. Another reason for Blue Wizard is the appearance of the stranger. Both his robes and his hair are definitely brown. While I'm sure he'll trade his wardrobe for a more indicative look perhaps in Season 2, the hair color could be telling. While the wizards did age during their time in Middle-earth, we are told they only aged slightly in their thousands of years of existence. Presumably, his overall appearance here would be pretty darn close to what it'll be in a few thousand years. His brown hair led many fans to guess that he could be Radagast. And while I wouldn't complain about a Radagast sans bird poop, I think this is also a point toward the Blue Wizard, as we aren't told what their hair color is. While I can't say for certain, I highly doubt Tolkien envisioned these wizards' hair matching their robes in this case. I've mentioned this in live streams before, but circling back to the practical, real-world reasons to hope this isn't Gandalf is the burden that will come along with this. Gandalf is a hugely popular character even among casual fans, thanks in no small part to Sir Ian McKellen's iconic performance across 6 films. Now, I think Daniel Wayman has been one of the best performances in the entire series. Nearly the entire season, he had to rely heavily on nonverbal communication, or at least a very limited vocabulary, and his story still managed to bring some of the most heartfelt moments to the show. While I have a reasonable amount of confidence that he could do a younger version of Gandalf quite well, I would really enjoy Wayman having the opportunity to make a character fully his own, without having to keep in mind all that we've seen before. Now, I've made it no secret that I'm firmly hoping the stranger is a Blue Wizard, and it's possible this hope is simply a fool's hope. Personally, I think a Blue Wizard is the more fun option, and is just flat out the smart move from my perspective as a Tolkien fan. Unlike the Blue Wizards, we know a lot about Gandalf. We know so much more about his history, personality, his life, and even how he truly first encounters the Hobbit race. Going forward with the stranger as Gandalf is a potential lore minefield, whereas going forward with the Blue Wizards is much more open to creative interpretation, and in my mind, no less interesting for even casual fans. In fact, I'd argue it actually has the potential to be more interesting for all audiences. We've seen it many times in franchises before. The inclusion of popular characters is no guarantee of said characters resonating with fans. With Gandalf, I think there's a strong likelihood of having the show choosing between what it believes is a compelling story and staying true to what we know of Gandalf. With a Blue Wizard, I think there's a clear path to having both, and the potential win-win of entertaining both book fans and casuals should they do it well. Let me know if there's any other theories or topics about the show you'd like me to cover. With the exception of my eventual Season 1 review video, I'll be pretty light on Rings of Power going forward unless there's some big newsworthy things. But I'm open to covering a few topics here and there if there's something you all want to see. In the meantime, I'm looking forward to chatting more about the other adaptations on the horizon. Not only the War of the Rohirrim anime, but also the handful of video games coming over the next couple years that I'm pumped to dive into. In the meantime, let me know in the comments what you guys think about the stranger. Are there things I'm forgetting about this character that sways you one way or the other? And which option do you find most compelling? As always, I want to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make this channel possible. Tom DeBombadil 19, Listen Me the Cinda, Kella Brimbor, The Mighty Mim, Team Weasel, Rabbi Rob Thomas, Charles Leisure, Toby Mob's Music, CCDC Red Team, Nerd Sidgeman Anytimer, Pelkey Sports Cards, Mookie the Brown, Christopher Carbaugh, Joe Tepper, Sky Carcass, Slide Belts, Dane Ragnarsson, Salim Rahman, Zetrock, Bertoberg, Grand Strategy Nerd, Graham Derricott, The Dark-Haired One, Wyland, Michael Wu, and Debbie. If you enjoyed the artwork in this video, check out the artists in the description and purchase prints of their great work for yourself. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings.